It's 1945. World War II has just ended, and the world is reeling from the atrocities committed by the Nazis. The Nuremberg trials are underway, promising to hold war criminals accountable. But behind closed doors, the United States government is doing something shocking, recruiting Nazi scientists to work for America. These men, some of whom were deeply involved in war crimes and atrocities, were secretly brought to the U.S. to advance American technology and gain an edge in the Cold War. This was Operation Paperclip, a covert program that changed the course of history. But was it a necessary evil or a betrayal of justice? This story reveals how desperation for power can lead to moral compromise, leaving us to question whether the ends truly justify the means. To understand Operation Paperclip, we must first delve into the technological landscape of the time. Nazi Germany, despite its defeat, was a technological powerhouse. The V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, had struck fear across Europe. Their advancements in jet propulsion, chemical weapons, and even early computer technology were unmatched. With the war over, the Cold War began to take shape. The United States and the Soviet Union were no longer allies, but competitors in a race for global supremacy. Whoever could harness the brains behind Nazi Germany's technology would gain a significant advantage. In 1945, the U.S. launched Operation Overcast, which was later renamed Operation Paperclip, to recruit German scientists. Officially, the program aimed to prevent these experts from falling into Soviet hands. Unofficially, it was about securing their knowledge for America's own use, at any cost. Operation Paperclip wasn't a straightforward recruitment drive. Many of the scientists targeted for the program had dark pasts. Some were high-ranking members of the Nazi Party, and others had been involved in war crimes, including human experimentation and the use of slave labor. To facilitate their recruitment, the U.S. government sanitized their records, removing evidence of their Nazi affiliations. This allowed these individuals to enter the country and work without public scrutiny. In some cases, their crimes were outright ignored in exchange for their expertise. One chilling example is Dr. Hubertus Strughold, known as the father of space medicine. While his work was crucial to NASA's advancements in space exploration, he had previously overseen experiments on concentration camp prisoners. Despite these allegations, Strughold's contributions were celebrated for decades. Arguably the most famous scientist brought to the U.S. under Operation Paperclip, von Braun was a rocket engineer who had developed the V-2 rocket for Nazi Germany. During the war, von Braun's team used forced labor from concentration camps to build these rockets. In America, von Braun became a key figure at NASA. He led the development of the Saturn V rocket, which ultimately took astronauts to the moon during the Apollo program. His transformation from a Nazi scientist to an American hero is one of the most controversial aspects of Operation Paperclip. Blome was a physician who worked on biological warfare for the Nazis. Despite being tried at the Nuremberg trials, he was acquitted, a decision some speculate was influenced by U.S. interest in his expertise. Blome later worked on America's biological weapons program. Rudolph played a significant role in the production of the V-2 rocket, which relied on slave labor from concentration camps. In the U.S., he became a key engineer in NASA's rocket program. Decades later, his past caught up with him, and he was forced to renounce his U.S. citizenship. Strughold's research laid the groundwork for space medicine, helping NASA prepare astronauts for the physiological challenges of space travel. However, evidence suggests he was involved in unethical experiments on prisoners during the war. Despite its moral compromises, Operation Paperclip undeniably contributed to major technological advancements in the U.S., including the space race. Von Braun's work on rockets was instrumental in the success of NASA's Apollo program, culminating in the 1969 moon landing. Missile technology. German scientists helped develop ballistic missiles, bolstering America's military capabilities during the Cold War. Medical research. Contributions to space medicine and other fields advanced human understanding of the limits of the human body. Operation Paperclip was controversial for many reasons. The most glaring issue was the U.S. government's willingness to overlook war crimes in exchange for scientific expertise. By recruiting individuals like von Braun and Strughold, America sent a message. Justice could be set aside if it served national interests. This moral compromise raises uncomfortable questions. Can scientific progress be separated from the actions of those who drive it? And does the end always justify the means? The U.S. government's efforts to sanitize the records of Nazi scientists were part of a broader pattern of secrecy during the Cold War. Officials justified these actions by emphasizing the need to stay ahead of the Soviet Union. However, this lack of transparency eroded public trust in government institutions. For survivors of the Holocaust and families of concentration camp victims, Operation Paperclip was a betrayal. The decision to bring Nazi war criminals to the U.S. was seen as a slap in the face to those who had suffered under their regimes. Von Braun's dream. Despite his Nazi past, von Braun dreamed of space exploration from a young age. His early sketches of space stations and lunar colonies predated his work with NASA. The Paperclip name. The operation got its name because paperclips were used to attach the files of scientists chosen for recruitment. Soviet competition. The Soviet Union conducted its own version of Operation Paperclip, called Operation Osoaviakim, and recruited over 2,000 German scientists. Buzz Aldrin's connection. Decades later, Buzz Aldrin, one of the first men on the moon, worked on missions made possible by von Braun's technology. Operation Paperclip wasn't just a secret recruitment program. It was a reflection of how the Cold War reshaped global priorities. The race for technological supremacy overshadowed traditional notions of justice and accountability. The program accelerated American advancements in space exploration and military technology. It's no exaggeration to say that without Operation Paperclip, the U.S. might not have won the space race. Operation Paperclip forced society to grapple with difficult ethical questions. Can we separate the contributions of individuals from their past actions? And how do we balance moral accountability with the pursuit of progress? The secrecy surrounding Operation Paperclip contributed to a growing distrust of government institutions. This mistrust persists today, fueling conspiracy theories and skepticism of official narratives. Operation Paperclip is one of the most controversial chapters in American history. It gave the U.S. the tools to dominate space exploration and military technology, but it came at a significant moral cost. By recruiting former Nazis, America compromised its values in the name of progress. As we look back on this period, we're left with a haunting question. Was it worth it? Can the achievements of Operation Paperclip justify the decisions that made them possible? And perhaps most importantly, what lessons should we take from this story as we continue to navigate the fine line between ambition and morality? Operation Paperclip is one of the most controversial chapters in American history. It gave the U.S. the tools to dominate space exploration and military technology, but it came at a significant moral cost. By recruiting former Nazis, America compromised its values in the name of progress. This secretive program challenges us to reflect on the price of ambition and the sacrifices made in the name of national security. While the scientific advancements achieved through Operation Paperclip are undeniable, the ethical implications cast a long shadow over its legacy. As we marvel at humanity's accomplishments in space and technology, we're left with a haunting question. Can we truly separate progress from the dark origins that sometimes fuel it? Operation Paperclip forces us to ask whether the pursuit of greatness is worth compromising the very principles we claim to uphold. What do you think? Was Operation Paperclip a necessary evil for the greater good, or a betrayal of justice that taints the achievements it helped create? History may never fully answer these questions, but it ensures they will never be forgotten.